Welcome back, everyone. We are getting ready for the second series of the day. I'm back with myself, Mazel, and Cubby, as we are still letting him onto the desk, and Mad Magical. Shocker, as we have not changed up this crew because it's too good of a crew.
Wait.
As we are getting ready for what, man?
I was just gotta say, didn't Cubby deserve his job back? So because he won Yordle.
I guess, yeah. I guess that's
He won
true.
he won his job back.
After I gave you guys so many hints, it's fine. I'm not upset.
I thought for sure it was gonna be Zezix, a word that I literally only discovered this morning.
Absolutely. Well, we got to get ready for EGA versus Cloud9 Academy. It's going to be a banger to finish off our day. Evil Geniuses still, trying to separate themselves from that 1-1-ness that they are a part of, and a lot of the games they are a part of as well. Cloud9 Academy on the other side, still trying to cement themselves in that top spot, right? They are still fighting, especially now the Golden Guardians had dropped that one game.
I mean, to be fair to EG, they did break the 1-1 streak yesterday. Just
they did
not the side that they want to be on, as it was an 0-2 to Immortals, and I think that EG, I just still am not seeing them like put the pieces together. It feels like a team that they take like some really aggressive strategies, and sometimes early plays don't work out, or sometimes they're just making mistakes in lane that make games harder from there. And I still think that like there's a lack of leadership on this team is what it feels like. And I know that some of the roles they have that, traditionally players talk more, like jungle or support, both Tomio and SkyTech in their first split of Academy, first full split, since Tomio, of course, had the sub in for Academy playoffs last year, pretty much. And so I think we're still seeing some of the growing pains from this roster, but we are still also seeing some of the nice moments that they can mechanically outplay in fights. I just think this is a really tough matchup for them, given how sound C9's early game plans have been, and how C9 have always been taking scaling compositions. So if they get out of the early game okay, it's been really tough to topple C9.
But the one thing that worries me for Evil Geniuses is that the last time they faced Cloud9, it was the substitute roster for Cloud9.
True.
Now it's this roster. There's a completely different face that they're facing, and if you go 0-2 to the substitute roster, maybe this one's even... we've been seeing the hot streak that they've been on. What is it now? Up to 14-4 in their hot streak since that loss to Golden Guardians when they initially came together.
Yeah,
it's been an incredible run, and seeing this roster, I'm also excited. It's still such an interesting question, seeing King perform every week and seeing like what variations of King we get, but the whole roster around him performing very, very well, and specifically our president, Mr. President himself, Darshan at the top lane for Cloud9 Academy, has been incredible, right? Like, he is in the top conversation for the top lane, and it's shown in almost every series that Cloud9 plays.
Yeah, you can kind of see that from just yesterday, right? Where right there, it was, even if it was engaged from Golden Guardians into them, he eats up a lot of that. He allows the rest of his team to kind of push back and be a strong force. And then the Fiora play, you had highlighted this amazingly yesterday, Cubby, where sure, he gets caught out, but how much time he buys for his team to then rotate around and pick up these kills, it nearly turned the game on its head. After a devastating 4-1 start that we saw in the bot lane for the C9A, where you're like, okay, it's all doom and gloom.
It's a quadra
kill right out the gates at like, what, a minute and a half? But then Malice gets a bunch of kills, and you're like, okay, maybe Malice can carry.
There's a lot of carry potential in that Cloud9 roster for sure, but definitely putting our spotlight on Darshan on the top lane because he's going against our number 4 Champions Queue member of the Academy squad. We got Surdy coming in here at the top side, and having been no slouch of his own in the carry potentials through that top lane.
I think that Surdy's had a really nice glow up for this split of Academy. Now, I know this is his first split of Academy. We spent some time talking about some of the shortcomings of maybe EG lacking leadership with having rookies in a couple other of the leadership roles. But I think that Surdy has been a very admirable performer as a rookie. I think he's executing his lane states really well. I think that he's also been finding some nice flank angles on the back half. And for a team that has really struggled to put the pieces together in the early game, Surdy is the only member of this team that averages being up gold at 14. I think that speaks to EG's game plans of oftentimes playing around Surdy and his good laning phase in the top side, but also just how well Surdy's been playing. I mean, I even remember a game where he was put to like 1-5, 1-6 as Jace and still came back and carried. And that's something that Surdy, really struggled with in amateur, having those consistency issues and seeing him bounce back like that in an academy game where the pressure is even higher. I think Surdy has shown a lot of good signs of growth this season, and it's going to be a good test to see if he can show even more of those signs going into Darshan, who has consistently been one of the best performers that we have in academy.
It's also honestly incredible. And it's so exciting that this is our head-to-head SmackDown for the day as well, because both these two guys, obviously we've already talked so much about them in this little bit of time that we do have, but huge solo kill numbers, amount of pressure that they're able to utilize from the top lane in the mid-game transition for both of their teams. It's a lot of volatility, but when utilized correctly, that's when it gets scary.
And I think that it's also a bit of a clash of styles, which I think might surprise some people, as Darshan has been opting much more for the tank play for this academy lineup. We oftentimes, I think he's 6-1 on Sion this split. We've seen him play that to great success.
Sion is terrifying,
yeah.
though, okay?
Whereas Surdy, I mean, he really is the carry for this team. He is playing carries 24/7. It doesn't matter if they're blue side or red side. He's been the one that's really been having to step up for this roster. And if EG wants to have any chance of taking games off of C9 today and getting in the way of their hot streak, I think Surdy is going to be a really important, integral piece to EG's success today.
It absolutely is. And, the early draft is going to tell a lot of what kind of tools we'll see in the top lane if we do get that traditional tank for Darshan, or if we see a little bit more of that volatility that I know I want to see in the top side, because that head-to-head is crazy. But then you look at all the other head-to-heads along the lines, and the jungle matchup, obviously super crucial. Reminiscing on the days of Tomio Death Squad, hoping that maybe we get a little bit more of that for Tomio himself going against Malice, and trying to find advantages that way is so crucial as well. And getting comfort picks for EG is something else that I'm absolutely looking at to go against this. Find something that works for you in the late game, but also gives you a little bit of pressure in the early to mid game. We'll see how it all pans out, though, guys, as game number 1 is ready and raring to go. So take it away.
Thank you, Marcel. We'll see you after the break for our halftime show, like I always say, because we always like to see you. But we got to get through this game first. It is our second series, the last one on this stream. Looking at Evil Geniuses, looking at Cloud9. Evil Geniuses are the team, I think, with the most 1-1 record in this entire Academy split so far, with a couple teams right on their heels.
They are leading in draws, yes.
Yes, but after yesterday's devastating 0-2 loss to Immortals, I wonder how they bounce back here against Cloud9, a team that is on an absolute terror in Academy. 14-4 since their initial 0-2 start that got that hate thread on Reddit. They have really turned things around in Academy and look like one of the most terrifying teams that we have.
And I think that both of these rosters coming in are somewhat playing for different things, because C9, they see this as an opportunity like, hey, EG hasn't been playing great League of late. If we can get a 2-0, maybe that can help us with the 1 seed. And EG, this is a tough matchup for them. I think any games that race for top 6, avoiding the play-in stage for Proving Grounds. And when I say that, I mean, they make Proving Grounds, but if you're a bottom 4 Academy team, you got to play one of the bottom 4 amateur teams to get into the main bracket. So that's a situation that I don't think these Academy teams want to be in. They'd rather be slotted in the main bracket, have an easier first-round matchup. And we're getting to the point in the season where these two teams have 4 best-of-2s left. That's starting to get more important. So we're going to have to see if EG can step up, try and patch up some of the play and some of the issues they had yesterday as they dropped 2 games to Immortals. And it's going to be a different strategy. Because yesterday, Cowrie on the Zeri both games. This time around, Zeri taken away. And it's going to be the Jinx for Cowrie, which has been his best champion.
You know what I like about the Caitlyn ban? Normally, especially now, we're not seeing nearly as much Caitlyn, especially in the on the bench. But I like it because now you give EG the choice. Do you want to take the Hecarim away? We've seen Tomio play that just yesterday. You want to grab that Jinx for Cowrie, or do you want to grab Gwen? Another powerful tool they can easily grab, or even Ahri. Ahri's actually been really soaring up in priority throughout 12.4 patch.
And we did see C9 play this duo in their first game win yesterday against Golden Guardians. That's a good call on the Gwen, because this is something that EG could take and flex. Now, we have yet to see, I believe we've seen Tomio play the Gwen 0 times, even though we know that Tomio does have the capability to play this pick. Now, that is a chance for a flex, but Tomio, I think he might return to some comfort. He's a very good Volibear player. We've seen a lot of junglers matching or opting into this matchup versus the Hecarim because Volibear can somewhat match the power that you have in the first couple clears and is a terrifying opponent to run into around level 3. So we'll see if Tomio can utilize this, find some early action, find some early plays around the Rift.
Yeah, I'm not too surprised either that Gwen isn't picked up by Evil Geniuses. I was more thinking just Cloud9 because we know Darshan is capable of playing a lot of the counter. And the Fiora he played yesterday into it. Oh, looks like we had a little bit of an issue, so we'll just cut back to our faces only. But the reason I bring that up is yesterday, look how he was in lane against Gwen. When he played the Fiora into Gwen, he was dumpstering that lane. It took a lot of attention to try to see if they could drag him down and make it a lot more difficult. But it also, makes it difficult for Fiora when bot lane, you have a Jinx that started with 4 kills and came to lane with a Noon Quiver.
That was a disastrous game for C9. And if you ever wondered what pro scrims look like, just go back and watch that game. That's pretty close.
Look, I loved that. That was a lot of fun. But I agree. It's more like a scrim game, how it starts, where after that level 1 fight, the shenaniganeries, they're kind of like, hey, all right, let's reset. We need a reset so we can actually practice.
And speaking of some resets, we are going to be resetting the champ selects. We are in the process of that. EG could not click on the champion for Saligo. I think that's a bit of a problem. So Saligo dropped. It will be the same draft up until that point. Saligo would just have to lock in the champ that EG was going to take on B3. But returning to what we saw so far, I think Malice on this Hecarim, he is 4-3 on the champion. And it's something where C9 looks very comfortable if Malice is able to get out of the first 5-6 minutes of the game unscathed. They've been taking a lot of comps where if you play your lanes right, you get your jungler out of the first clear 2, then the comp scales, you have more resources getting into the fights, and we've seen them beat a lot of teams doing that. The way that they drop is if teams make things really volatile. That's something that EG, in wins and losses, they have always done. And I'm curious if that's going to be a good or bad matchup for them, because I think that C9, depending on the game, deal with that better or worse than some other teams. And we'll see what EG can do, because we've seen the primary game plan against C9. I don't think anyone's matched them to try and get more scaling. It's always been like, can we break this team early? And we've seen some teams be successful in that. Curious if we see EG take that strategy, what we expect, and if they can do it against, as you mentioned, Matt Magical, one of the hottest teams that we have in our league at the moment.
I'd have to look back through the stats, see if any teams really did try to fully match them. I think some teams have tried to get elements that can maybe contest them, but like you said, not really fully match them. But I also kind of want to bring the conversation back a little bit and talk about Malice on Hecarim. I know he likes to play a lot of Karthus and Evelynn, and we see those primarily be the bans, but I kind of like seeing Malice more on Hecarim. It works a lot better in these early game positions where he can actually gank earlier on. He doesn't have to. He can continue to farm up and scale up to level 6 when he's going to really have that impact. But then he also has that impact once he gets to level 6. We saw how many times he split up fights yesterday, making sure that he separated, what was it, I think a Soraka on the other side from the team at almost every single fight late game.
Yeah, him and Copy's ability to just lay an onslaught on the back line of Golden Guardians in that game 1 with the Hecarim and the Ahri was huge. And those are the 2 champs that we see for C9 now. So we'll see if Cloud9 can try and emulate the same sort of attack that they were able to put down on the EG. And I'm curious because EG, when you take something like this Jinx early, we expect usually some safety being brought. I know that they couldn't take a champ on 3, but I'm wondering if we see a Tom Kench or a Thresh for EG on that 3rd pick, because you got to believe that C9 would take a couple of those away and if it goes into the next phase of the pick ban. And into Hecarim Ahri, I feel like Tom Kench has so much value for this Jinx.
I'm curious as that as well. I'm going to keep my eyes on this bot lane and what they want to lock in. I think that both sides want to get their support in this draft, where we didn't get to see it earlier because Saligo had the bug. But here, oh no!
Ooh.
Instead, Saligo grabs Azir.
Okay, so trying to bring some lane dominance into the Ahri gives you some safety as well against the Hecarim. We're going to see King match the marksman. It's going to be Jinx Aphelios. I'm sure you've never seen that before on this patch if you're watching from home. And then they're going to take away some of the safety from the Jinx, as we called out. So I'm curious to see what SkyTech ends up going with. We know that SkyTech, a lot of his comfort is going to be that Rakan was what he was known for before he was now in Academy. So maybe that's an option, but I think this is also something where C9, very unique to them, given Darshan's strength as a tank player, they could always blind top lane and give Isles that counter if they are really scared about this Kaori SkyTech bot lane.
And honestly, I'm curious to see what they're going to ban here as we get the Tryndamere to join the bench. I wonder if the last
I don't
ban...
think you ban Thresh.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering, though. It's like, do you ban Thresh and try to make it a little bit more uncomfortable for Isles in the spot lane? But I feel like the Nautilus is really what he wants to grab. That's what they want to pair more likely than the Thresh. Maybe you enforce that. Nope, but they ban Thresh all the same.
Yeah, I actually really like the Lulu ban. I think that takes away something that is pretty good in what C9's showing. Of course, with the Ahri, you want to get those resets, so Lulu gives you so much more effective health. And if they wanted to take something like a Thresh here, it is something that you can play with the Jinx, but support pool is rather narrow at the moment, and curious if we end up seeing what looks to be a Leona. I think one of the better picks into this. So SkyTech, we've seen quite a bit of Nautilus prio from both of these supports. I think one of the better matchups into Leona is actually Braum. And when you're paired up with the Jinx, get that extra attack speed. You already have some engage with the Voldabear. I would really like a Braum pick.
I think the reason they picked Leona here is to deny that Rakan that you were talking about from SkyTech. Make sure he's not going to be on as comfortable a champion that he's had the utmost proficiency with. Get them to pick this Braum instead. It's still a really good pick, don't get me wrong. It just denies SkyTech that comfort.
I'm a big fan of Braum. I think it's good into Aphelios. So you can stop some of the projectiles and at least handshake the lane trades with Leona. Now, Leona will have support priority. Will be able to roam against this matchup. So that could be big for C9 and protecting Malice, protecting their lanes. The blind 430 in the top side will be that Graves. That Tryndamere was taken off the table. We'll see what other answer Darshan has. We have seen him place the Malphite into this matchup. He could play the Jace. Jace is, I know it's a Braum, but it's still really good into Azir plus Jinx. Really pick of the litter here for Darshan. He could even go for something like a Camille if he wanted to.
Darshan has a champion ocean in this top lane. He has played so many. He has had a very long tenured career, and it's going to be Aurelia that he's piloting. Yesterday, Copy played that in the second game. This time, it is Darshan playing that into Graves.
And this pick, it's all about the lane phase. It's all about trying to get that solo kill on the Graves and snowball things out of control. And I like this for C9. We've seen this in a lot of their drafts, opting for the 1-3-1, playing 3 lanes. Now, you have this Aurelia, you have this Ahri. These are 2 side lanes that you can attack if you are C9, going into the Graves plus Azir. And it gives them this like backdoor win condition and a way to get around the Jinx in the later stages of the game.
And looking at that Jinx, I'm also looking at that Azir in tandem. And you know why, Cubby?
Why?
Baron. How good both those champions are at taking Baron. It's so fast with an Azir. It's like Cassiopeia. I like seeing these champions because a lot of people...
If you go Leandries on the Azir, which we don't see nearly as much of anymore.
Yeah, I think even with Ludens, you take it pretty fast. That's usually... I look at Azir, it's like Cassiopeia. I look at both those champions and how effective they are. I mean, obviously, you want the whole team in that, but that gives them something that they can play around. If C9 aren't constantly checking that in the late game or even in the mid game, it's an opportunity for EG, if they are behind, to immediately bounce back.
Well, we will have to keep our eyes out for those late game Baron sneaks. I think where I have my eyes really early, it really is on Tomio. When you take this Voldabear into Hecarim, you have a lot of power in your early clears, and it's about getting things done. And I want to see what kind of moves Tomio makes. You have the option to trade flash for flash mid, something I always love to talk about when I see a Voldabear. You can match the clear of Hecarim, rather similar speed, or if you go find the Hecarim, you are really powerful in the early game. It's something that we saw CLG do versus C9 when Rosethorn was able to take it to Malice last week, getting up in his face and taking away some of the camps with the lane priority. And something early that EG will have the option for with this Azir. So really keeping our eyes on Tomio, seeing what kind of early plays he makes and if he's able to break the game plan of C9, something we've seen so many teams struggle to do in Academy.
I love that our observers every time Copy plays this skin on Ahri.
It's the Fox.
It's the Fox. I mean, you gotta zoom in, right? You gotta show off the Fox, and Also Copy, because Copy is a player that I always keep my eyes on. Everyone talks about Malice, because Malice is a very interesting jungler, has his comfortable champions in Karthus, in Evelynn, the herbivore memes abound. But Copy is a player I keep going back to. I think a lot of the successes Cloud9 have had are off the back of Copy, this rookie player who's constantly setting up a lot of the fights. You think back to even yesterday, even though that second game, not as
For better or for worse.
for better or for worse, exactly. Yeah. He is still the one trying to initiate constantly for Cloud9.
And I think Copy, now in his sophomore year of Academy, someone that, we really think is a native mid laner that can step up, that, can play LCS in his future. And I think the strides that we're looking to see from Copy, a lot of it is actually a rather good laner. I think a lot of it is just making sure that, some of those mistakes, some of those inconsistencies, some of those overreaches on finding the engages are eliminated from his gameplay. And always something I'm looking out when it comes to Copy's play to see if he can do better. As I know that I set up a lot for Tomio. I think I want to keep my eyes to see if Darshan can make good use of this counter pick, because he got the pick of the litter with this Aurelia. And if Darshan is able to get anything down on the Surdy, that really changes the landscape of this game for C9, opening up that 1-3-1. So I think those are the two things I'm really looking out for at the moment. Looks like Tomio opting for the full clear on the Volibear. We'll see if he makes an appearance mid, but Sligo already has that shoved in. And we'll see if he actually maybe invades the bot side of Malice, as Malice is spotted going for the full clear. He has Prio bot. I'd love Braum Volibear invades. Could be an option.
I was about to say, they have Prio everywhere. Look at top, mid, bot. All lanes are either frozen or shoving for Evil Geniuses. With the ebb and flow, it will eventually push back for Cloud9, giving them a little bit of leeway. But this is that moment, that early game, where Volibear, like you said, has power over a Hecarim and can actually look for invades. Darshan playing aggressive into Surdy makes sense because he just wants to get a little bit of control back for Malice, but it means that it's on the wrong side of the map where Tomio is.
And Tomio supported. You can see Sligo moving. Malice is forced out. This is the full lane Prio you were talking about, Mad Magical, being put to good use by EG. And Tomio is going to try and walk away with 2 camps.
That's a lot to take away from Malice, dude.
Yeah.
Who's playing this Hecarim power farm herbivore jungler. That's, I still don't get that meme with how Malice plays. I think that he actually plays really well, especially when it comes to the mid to late game. But that's not the point. The point is that Tomio is doing a good job of denying these camps and forcing plays on the other side. That's why Malice has to now get the top scuttle. He's not only getting invaded, but he notices Darshan is playing aggressive. He's looking for these fights against Surdy. That flash, though, because it could have gotten a little bit dicey, but now
I think
Malice
he
is here.
baited them.
I think he did too. Surdy hung around in the brush, and look at the flash coming in from Surdy. He's got a lot of damage, but he takes the turret, just a solo kill for Darshan.
And Darshan's movement around the minions, it saves him from the auto attack. Surdy felt like he had to go for it, didn't want to give the gold over to Malice, and just comes up short. Some great movement from Darshan, very close between the 2 top laners. And that's big for Darshan because he has to burn the TP back, but he just gets to catch this wave. So Surdy losing out some extra resources. Really good for the Aurelia.
Really, really good for him. That was a fantastic play by Darshan. Like you said, actually baiting in Surdy. Making Surdy overextended a little bit because he saw how low Darshan was.
Yeah, the initial trade.
The initial trade. But it was all a bait. Surdy, if he was going to go for the play, had to go a little bit sooner because the cooldowns came up for Darshan. He was able to turn that around pretty effectively.
Now, on the bright side for EG, we did say we wanted to look out for Tomio early. He is ahead of the Hecarim. He was able to take away those 2 camps, is now back clearing out his jungle. And I want to see if EG tries to rinse and repeat, maybe attack the Gromp again. Because with this bot lane, the power of Jinx early, C9 has not been able to get any push in the bot lane.
No.
And they're just catching waves, and that does open up for Skytech and Sligo to try and support Tomio for any invades on the bot side. So I want to see EG continue to do this versus C9. I think it is good. It gets the Hecarim behind and opens up plays for you to make around this Volibear that is so powerful early pre-6.
It was a bit of an engage there for Miles. I think you regretted that immediately, even if it's a double graviton route for King. It took a lot of damage along the way. They're going to have to heal up. This gives a lot of time for Tomio to invade it, as we keep talking about. He's got that priority, and he's got a level lead.
It's the Gromp revisit. Now Malice is here, but down a level, down Smite. and EG just gets to fully walk up here and support it.
Yeah, and so another Gromp taken
gone.
away. And guess what else is up? There is that Dragon potential if they want to turn and take that objective, since they have Soligo really bowling around Copy in this mid lane.
This is how the Azir Ahri matchup goes. You have some more range in the Azir. Azir with the many changes actually really kind of emerged to be like the semi-lane bully. As a nice sidestep from Surdy. I think if that hits, he's dead.
Oh, for sure.
I think Darshan chains the ult and everything.
I agree. That's what I expected. I thought he was going to land it, but Surdy had a nice sidestep. But we flipped to the other side of the rift, and exactly as I had predicted, it happened. Tomio didn't even need the assistance of his laners to take that because, again, mid lane and bot lane don't have priority. Well, Darshan's been able to get that on the top half of the map. Yeah, it looked a little dicey there. I thought actually we were going to have to cancel recall.
Malice is level 4. But Soligo wants to prioritize the tempo, make sure that he gets back to lane on time. Didn't think he'd be able to actually deny Malice from taking the crab. So, gonna retreat. And Surdy should understand that he's got to be a little bit careful playing around this top side. Malice could be lurking around. So Malice is going to continue clearing. Important note, Voldabear, of course, it is a tiny lead for Tomio. He is up a few camps, but he hasn't been able to set behind the laners of C9. And I think that is something that's going to hurt EG as the game goes on.
No, but he's set behind Malice. And I think that's been
that's nice.
The big goal.
It has been a big priority. I like the Gromp revisit, but I think the bigger objective for EG, or what tells you if it's been a successful early game or not, is going for this Rift Herald. Now, we do see C9 fighting really hard to make sure that they get this wave in, as Skytech will have to see the wave. And, yeah, well, I mean, once again, Tomio, he gets the Gromp. He's taken 3 camps total away from Malice, but that's the lead. It's nothing else for C9. It's still an even gold game, and I think that as time goes on, it's going to hurt EG. They need to try and set these laners behind, because if C9 gets to set up that 1-3-1 with the Aurelia, I don't think EG have great ways to deal with it.
By the way, I do want to amend something I had said earlier.
So, an amendment.
I got the weeks wrong because in my notes I think I just wrote it down wrong. EG were actually the second team to face Cloud9. They were the team that got that devastating 2-0 loss handed to them, with Malice getting a little bit more rest, a little bit more scrims under their belt. It was the start, essentially, for Cloud9's terror in Academy.
Now, I do want to pause. I did talk about the importance of Rift Herald for EG.
Okay.
Setting C9's laners behind. This is a big way to do it. Tomio. Malice is on the other side of the map, right? So Tomio just going to hop on Rift, do it free. Malice is spotted. We'll clear out that ward, but well played from EG and Tomio. They get this with minimal commitment, minimal resources, and can now use this to try and really pressure C9. And I want to see if Tomio can set up some form of dive. Remove a member of C9 from the map, get EG 3+ plates, and maybe even a first brick.
Well, that's where I genuinely want to know your opinion on this and where you think Tomio should put the Rift Herald.
So I think at the moment, getting gold into Cowrie is the best call. But I could also see it being dropped mid if they didn't want to take one of the turrets and just continue laning to chip some plates off.
Okay.
Because Ahri is unique in the fact that she is an assassin with a lot of wave clear. So it is difficult to take the mid turret against Ahri. As we do have to pause because Surdy, that's a big wave, but he's being attacked. Tomio is on the roam first.
But he's getting a lot of damage back. Vanguard's edge comes out, but so does collateral damage. Darshan took a lot more of that harass than Surdy did.
And props to Tomio walking up here at the right time. Now, Soligo has to be careful. Isles could drop the ults.
Doesn't go for it. I was expecting a flash ult from Isles. Held off.
E-Flash might have been able to catch Soligo off guard as he was coming from Fog, but Isles not going to test him. And instead, we just keep on handshaking.
Letting it play out at the moment. Jeff leads, kind of back and forth depending where you look. Top lane, Darshan, that solo kill that he got over Surdy as well surviving. Helps out a lot for his top side of the map. But then you look at the jungle. Tomio still has a bit of a lead against Malice, someone who's well known for his power farming in the early game, usually outpacing anybody he faces by large margin.
On the bear, we'll see if he can use this small CS lead he has to really transition to anywhere else, though. Because gold on the bear, I would much rather have gold on a carry if I was EG. I think it's pretty safe to say. And to be fair, to the side of C9, I think that They have been able to play out their lane states rather well. Malice, besides the 3 camps that have taken from him, or been taken from him, he has been able to farm up plenty, as C9 has been supporting this, and EG not able to break it. We have another dragon coming up in 25 seconds. I want to see if EG can utilize the power of the Voldibear and their bot lane priority to get another drag, but I think overall C9 exiting this early game, I honestly think they're okay with where they're at. I mean, it's an even gold game. We've seen a lot of C9 comps, you know, just kind of draft and play to go even early and then just outscale as the game goes on. This is definitely a situation that C9's in, especially in the side lane with the Aurelia.
All right, and they're utilizing that pretty well. DPs are available for both of the top laners, especially with the dragon spawning. C9 are actually the first ones on the call around it. They've got a little bit of advantage back for the team. Now that they've bought some of their mythic, with King having Gale Force, they actually can exert a little bit more control over the bot lane, have forced out Cowrie and Skytech, who have been the ones really controlling this entire state and lane.
Yeah, this is still favored, though, for the side of EG. As Tomio, he has a level. He still is stronger at this point of the game with a completed mythic.
Plus I.
And you can see Copy, he's trying to walk down. Tomio has yet to drop the rift, and now we're going to have the engage.
Ooh,
Tomio
that's nice.
trying to get his
Solar
ult.
flare onto Tomio. Doesn't even have time to ult. They got the kill beforehand, and even though Skytech is trying to do his best to kite back for Cowrie, he had to flash away because he would have died, and that leaves Cowrie in a bad spot, cleansing immediately away. Getting a bit more damage back onto King, so he goes on the other side. Empressified is available. Gets the flash out of King. The rocket goes wide. Not going to connect, so they have to go back to the drawing board, but at least forcing Cloud9 off the dragon.
And this is good stuff from C9. I know we have a second look, but Tomio, he was the target. And, you know, you can use your ult to escape the initial Leona play. Oh, we are going to pause.
No.
Flash, flash.
Flash, flash. A lot of damage. Darshan dives, and it works with Triumph keeping him alive.
Oh, Surdy not able to escape. Darshan cashes in on the counter matchup again, and just like that, C9 starting to take off in this game. We do have a replay. What happened around the dragon? Tomio's going to ult this. He's trying to greet it. I love the flash follow from Isles. It's a great chain CC from C9, and they win the fight before it starts. Copy dancing around, able to sneak out. They even get a cleanse from Towery on the backside. We got to return to live because the dragon's being started again. There are sums down. Tomio still has flash and all, but look at all the chunk damage he's taken from Copy.
Tomio was forced to smite the dragon early to get heals. And with that charm connecting, he's dead. Dragon, it might reset only a little bit, but that is going to be Cloud9's first.
And that's he's got flash and ult still up. It's 2 times in a row where he hasn't been able to get those off. And while all this is going on, Darshan, he's now up 2 levels on Surdy, and he wants more.
I thought he was about to dive again. Look, keep in mind,
can.
that turret's still alive on the top half, but Surdy still kills him because it was too aggressive out of Darshan.
Darshan pushing a bit too much, not necessary. Was greeting for the kill. Surdy able to turn it back, but it's still disaster across the rift for EG. This early game plan, this early lead that they tried to set up, they weren't able to set behind C9 any marginal amount. And C9, these first 2 fights they've picked, they're the ones that have executed better.
And it's going well right now for Cloud9. Even with that bit of an over-aggression from Darshan giving shutdown gold to Surdy, they've got themselves that Cloud Dragon. And I still haven't done the stat check to see if Cloud Dragons give Cloud9 a buff. Got to make sure we're getting on that. But they're winning out on most of these lanes. Copy is getting a little bit of an advantage back onto Sligo. Bot lane, it is looking pretty decent for King and Isles. Even though they lost the tier 1 turret from Shelly, they've got themselves in a good spot to continue to scale and be able to compete against Cowrie.
And the tools that they have to attack Cowrie, keep in mind, he doesn't have a Tom Kench. He doesn't have a Thresh. It's going to have to be them peeling back with Braum and Skytech just connecting with those Qs, those auto attacks. A lot of EG is going to be about going backwards in these fights. And we saw how good Copy and Malice were at finding the engages. And now that EG haven't been able to get out of the early game with a lead, we really have to start thinking more about C9. The consequences are going to be throwing at EG, as this Aurelia is going to be a nightmare to face in the side lane. And the angles that you can build with Leona, Ahri, and Hecarim. I don't know if EG have enough tools to deal with that. And they're going to have to figure out a way to deal with that, because that's exactly what they're going to be eating from C9.
Well, you had said before how important Rift Herald was for EG. They've got it again. This time, they don't have that setup in the bot lane. Maybe they have to set up mid lane, get these laners, especially try to see if they can crack that tier 1 turret as they just lose out on their own tier 1 in the bot lane to copy.
And I'd say C9, even dropping that Rift Herald, it's well worth it. They're setting up copy for success, and keep in mind what C9 wants to do. They want to stretch the map with this comp. They want to 1-3-1. You cannot answer Ahri, Aurelia insides, as now have used their side lane prio to try and contest the red buff. Malice gets away with it, able to take it. And just like that, EG, they're losing out. Darshan looking to take top outer as well.
They've set up the 1-3-1 really early. They got that bot lane turret to copy. Top lane, Darshan momentarily will be able to get that. That's a lot of damage on the Cowrie. Copy has to be a bit careful since Tomio was nearby, but King also being in the wings helps make sure there's no re-engage from the side of EG.
Oh, and you can see C9. They're getting closer and closer to hitting that timer where they feel like they can really take it to EG. As at this point, I mean, Malice has zoomed ahead of Tomio. Darshan finding 2 kills, even if the one was a trade, still ahead of Surdy. And Darshan's actually waiting.
Vanguard's Edge, that's a lot of damage on Asserti, and there is no way to get back to your turret this time to give you safety. Even with the Blast Cone, it's Malice right there. He's got an ult if necessary, but he'll just take him down without it.
Another instance where Surdy pushed up. Darshan just baits him into the fight, and Tomio's not there to answer. As Surdy goes down, C9 continue to find advantage, especially in these side lanes. And EG just don't have the pieces to break it.
And that's at this point, how do you break it? Even with the Eye of the Rift Herald on Tomio, I'm looking at the state of these lanes. I even want to see how much gold Darshan has over Surdy, because that's going to be the biggest amount of a gold lead C9 have. Yeah, nearly.
Oh, there we go.
That's about 1,500.
Thanks to our wonderful observer, tuning in, keeping us all posted, making sure that Magical can do his live math on air, as that's the lead for Darshan. That's all I've got in me today. But I think that, how to break it, it's if C9 overextends in the EG. You do have an Azir for Peel. You do have a Braum for Peel. If you can find a fight.
That positioning, you have no vision there. You're just dead.
That's one way to break it. We talked about the 3. The Foldabear Braum can peel for this Jinx effectively, and we've seen how good Cowrie can be for EG Academy. We're really excited about this player as a marksman. He's getting funneled a little bit of gold as King steps out of line. EG knocks him down. That's a nice chunk out of the mid-outer, and this is 5 seconds before the Dragon, so maybe EG can use this man advantage to try and take an objective for themselves.
They have TP out of Soligo as well. Surdy is nearby.
They burn 3 ults. Yeah.
Waiting for Darshan, though. He's hanging out in base. There's the TP coming in from Soligo. Look at where Darshan is. He's waiting, TPing into the lane. It's down to 50% on this Dragon. Both teams want this. Malice would love to be able to get into the pit, but it's fight secured by Tomio. Now they have to escape. They have to be careful because Darshan, he's found Surdy. He's getting a lot of damage. And look at that. Malice goes into the back line. He's got the damage. It's a killing spree on a Cowrie. Without Cowrie, there's no more hope for EG. They're getting chased down, hunted by the hungry members of Cloud9.
They burn 3 ults to find the pick mid. C9, I think, properly take the fight. They're down numbers, but they know that they're up in tools. And taking a second look, I think that C9, once again, the patience from this team, waiting for Copy and Malice to get in the right place at the right time. I like how they're not pulling the trigger, right? They're waiting to find an angle. They're looking to make sure they have the right target. And EG, they can't get Cowrie out of this choke. And the minute that Soligo moves, Malice and Copy attack. Cowrie is left alone. He gets removed from the fight, and C9 runs over the rest of EG.
And this is where I have to bring up what I talked about makes me seem so much smarter, is I love seeing Malice on Hecarim. I think the decision-making working in tandem with players like Copy and Darshan, it works so well for Cloud9.
And I think C9, they're a team that, they have experience. I mean, there are players that have played in the LCS, have played competitively before, have won minor regions. Well, we do expect more out of this roster, but, seeing some of that experience delivered, I think the patience that C9 has shown, especially playing this Ahri Hecarim, it's been so good just waiting to find their timers. Now they have their timers. They can just do this.
Look at Ahri, the flank, but that's a lot of damage that's suffered. If it wasn't for Darshan, it could have been a lot riskier, but Darshan, he cleans up these fights every time.
They had it calculated. The Copy knew what he was doing. He had a couple dashes left. As C9 trade out Surdy. Now, EG, they do punch back. Cowrie is at least able to pick up the mid-outer turret. But EG still continue to fall behind. And a lot of it is just C9, once again, attacking these side lanes.
They're doing a great job at it. They've set themselves up for that 1-3-1 win condition if they want to, but they also are doing well in the team fights. And at the moment, I'm just worried for what can possibly happen for EG. How can they possibly get back into this game and put up a good fight when they're down 4,000 gold?
We're looking for picks and overextensions. I think that's what we've really boiled it down to at this point. Or maybe overload plays to try and catch a C9 member pushing too far up. But Copy and Darshan are doing a wonderful job of playing with their team, playing with priority, and not overextending and opening windows for EG to attack them. So we'll keep our eyes out for it, but this is still a really tough map state. And I think the big strength, the big evolution of C9, and something that we like to see, especially, out of Copy, as someone that, he's trying to come into his own as not only, someone that can play the supportive mids and help the jungler get ahead, but someone that is a carry himself. And seeing him play in these sides so intelligently, working with his team, I know it's something we have been seeing all season, but it's good to continue to see that in this game as well.
Copy has played so many different styles in this season alone. It is great to see this kind of growth out of this player. That's why we keep saying we want to see him in the LCS. It's just the growth that he's had in such a short amount of time in competitive. Keep in mind, he only really joined back in, 2020 with 100 Next?
Yeah. Rank 2 on the ladder, a Zed Silas player. He's grown into a lot more than that, as now we're starting to see just how deadly this matchup is for Surdy. Darshan, 2 levels, all the tools at his disposal, now he's going for it.
He just can dive him every time. Surdy can't match him. Surdy is more than half the deaths for his team.
And you can see EG, they're trying to posture around this Baron, they're trying to pull it, but they can't get Darshan out of the side lane, and now C9 forces him off, and it's just C9 winning everywhere around the map, using their priority well to win, force EG off, and now maybe looking.
They got the look, they've got the flanks, they even have a TP from Darshan if they want to, but they didn't connect some of those. Copy engages, they've got the fear on all 4 members, and you can tell that Evil Geniuses fear Cloud9.
And this Ahri Hecarim combo, it's too much. Tomio goes down again. Now Darshan doesn't even have to join. He has the empowered TP, but he'd rather take down this inhibitor turret for himself, as we're going to see the route one more time. And, I mean, it's so tough for EG. It's a 4v5. They're trying to get Tomio to tank it, but Tomio, he just can't squeeze in the ult in time. Ends up taking too much damage. It's so difficult against the Ahri, and now
go back to live.
C9. They're on the Baron. They have a flank TP.
Darshan's nearby.
So
Isles is low. It's Soligo. He's got to be a hero, but that's way too much damage. He gets a nice Embers to fight him off of the Baron, but he's already dead. And look at Cowrie getting forced down by Darshan. The exhaust was not enough to stop this man. Skytech, you will be the next to fall. Blastcone gets a little bit of distance, but guess what? There's another Blastcone, and Darshan can chase it down for a double kill in the fight, and his team gets the Baron as well.
And this was why we were asking EG to make more early plays, why we were worried about Tomio not knocking down one of the lanes, not breaking open the map for EG, because if you don't slow down C9, this is what happens to you. This has been all of the C9 games, the drafts they take, the style they play. They get so good in the later stages as...
Okay. Keep going.
That's nice.
Now keep going.
King caught out.
No, ignore it. What were you saying, Cubby?
Okay. Dragon's down for C9. That's big.
Yeah, that one's big, and it denies that possible comeback mechanic for the side of Evil Geniuses.
We do have objective bounties.
Right, there's objective bounties, but they don't get that 3rd dragon. They could set up soul point potential if they can drag this game out long enough. We look at this replay as well, and it's Darshan that's huge.
And it's the setup. I mean, it's an unplayable setup for EG. You have Darshan with the flank TP. You are outnumbered. C9 so strong at the moment. And Braum and Cowrie get split, so you can't peel for the Jinx. I mean, props to C9 for, once again, they're the ones that are forcing EG to make plays. They're the ones that, because of how powerful they are in side lanes, because EG can't stop them in that phase, they feel like they have to group. And C9 is shifting their power into the team fights wonderfully, as Darshan, man, I know we hyped up this matchup between him and Surdy. This counter pick of Relia, it's been massive in this game, and he's played it so well.
All from that one solo kill at what, level 3 or is it level 2? That he got over Surdy. The flash is
where he baited him in when Malice is on the side of the map.
Yeah, it was that set up that lane completely. From there, Darshan has not relented that pressure, nor does it seem like he even was going to for a second.
and now he's 3 levels up on Surdy. You
Wow.
can see how many members EG have to send
5.
towards him. This is the Hail Mary.
All
They've
5.
got to go for stuff like this.
Flash in with the bear, getting a little bit of damage, but Vanguard's Edge comes in. It's going to be a stun on Tomio. Darshan's doing his damnedest to fight back. He takes one with them to the grave.
Cowrie, that is a 1K shutdown. EG, they have to make a play somewhere else because they know they can't stop the push, but let's see how much C9 get in return. That's at least the mid inhibitor down, and Copy's going to take the top outer as well.
Exactly. They're going to get a lot for that aggressive play out of Evil Geniuses. It was a Hail Mary play. I agree they had to do something, but they're losing a lot for it.
Yeah, when you can't answer, you know, the group push, you might as well just stack members and try and get anything in return because EG's theory is that this stuff was going to fall anyway, whether they contest or not. So they at least get a 1K gold shutdown on the Cowrie. Cowrie now has an LDR completed. That will help a bit. It's still too much on the side of C9. They're going to need a couple more of those shutdowns, but that was the right move from EG. But once again, it's just feels like too late as... Okay.
Okay. That was
close. Closer than I thought.
A lot closer than I thought as well. I thought it was going to be, you know, just tickling him. But let's kind of go back a little bit and rewind. I want to talk about that Baron that was first attempted by Evil Geniuses. And you want to know why, Cubby? You want to know why? I'll answer it for you. Because it kind of...
Wait, so you're going to ask me and then answer it for yourself?
Yes. That's
okay, keep going.
That's what's happening.
Stock standard stuff.
Because it makes me seem smarter. That's why, Cubby. Because look at Saligo. He's got that Leandries. They had a lot of burst potential. If they had maybe scouted out a little bit beforehand or even just forced it a little sooner, they could have burned that down. When Cloud9 chased them off, it was so close. It was at 25% health, and they were barely on that for that long. But it was a good play and a good read from Cloud9. Cloud9 have been reading Evil Geniuses like a book since that moment.
And I mean, this is really the strength of C9. I know from talking with Copy yesterday, so obviously C9, you know, they had a change of power at the helm mid-season, but I know the two expectations they set as an org is that, especially with their academy team, is that, you know, wins and losses don't matter as much in academy as they do for their LCS team. And they were going to use academy for in-house meta and for making sure their LCS team was as prepped as possible to be good in that league and be good at Worlds. And Copy still highlighted that yesterday when I spoke with him ahead of his match against GGA. And I think that we're really seeing them and defining that. And a lot of the way they've been defining that is just by, you know, picking comps where the solos can play self-sufficiently. And if they do so without getting punished, they run away with the game because they're going to have scaling advantage most of the time. So we're seeing that again here. As, you know, while covering all that, we're just kind of talking about it because EG are slowly bleeding out because, once again, they didn't break the game plan of C9 early, and this is what happens against C9 if you fail to do so.
It might not be exactly a traditional 1-3-1 setup in these side lanes, but a 3-1-1.
No, that's pretty good. Yeah.
Exactly. It's still the same narrative. It's still the same idea. Utilizing the split push to completely split apart Evil Geniuses and really make sure to drive home the point that this game has been firmly in control of Cloud9 since that first Baron take.
Yes. Now, the saving grace for EG, they should sack this dragon, but they will get back out on the map to maybe contest the Baron. Yes, they are missing 2 inhibitors, and their base is down. But Cowrie is really close to an Infinity Edge. And maybe, just maybe, we have seen Cowrie pull off some crazy late-game plays, some wild late-game fights. Maybe Cowrie can save EG. I feel like that's really their only way back in the game. Jinx Braum is a really powerful combo if your engage is not clean. So we'll see if EG can take a step back, protect their huge late-game marksman, and, you know, have this Jinx be the last chance they have of taking at least game 1 against C9.
Well, I would normally agree with that because Cowrie has been one of these marksman players that we have highlighted throughout the season. He has played amazingly with his position. Look at the other side. Darshan has got 4 completed items. He's a full item and a half over Surdy.
He's huge.
And who's going to be the one diving onto Cowrie?
Oh, boy.
It is Darshan. You can even see that from this flank angle where nobody knows he's there.
Oh,
they haven't spotted out. The TP is going to come from Surdy, but way too
so
late.
good.
Emperor's Divide does not stop Darshan. He can run back in, and there's Balance too. But he's been focused out. They got the kill onto 1. But you got to be careful with how much damage came out of Saligo. Cowrie, the rocket, it goes wide. It doesn't connect. But Darshan's healing this entire time. It is a lot of damage that was done on both sides, but it was only Malice who fell.
The setup was really good from C9, but keep on fighting into the choke, that was the mistake, as now Darshan.
That was an interesting a blast cone right there from Cowrie to knock him in to the choppers, and they shut him down.
So Cowrie, I mean, we were talking about the Infinity Edge. He 100% has that now. EG were able to keep their members alive. That's step one of the crazy comeback. And I think C9, they just dropped a little bit of discipline there. Going into the choke, we talked about all the peeling tools they have. I mean, it's a great start, a great engage, but you have to stop the fight there. Just take the member, take the ult, get back out onto the Baron, and then force them to come into the river again and re-engage. When they push through that choke, the Braum Jinx gets to retreat back. Cowrie gets the free hit, gets the stun, gets the protection that he needs with his composition. EG played that very well, punishing the overextension by C9, and it didn't just stop with Malice. Darshan trying to follow up his buddy, too. He got outplayed a little bit by Cowrie.
That blast cone, that was so tragic for Darshan. It was so great from Cowrie to knock him into the chompers.
Now, coming out of replay, it is important to note that Cowrie did burn both Flash and Cleanse. So this next setup for C9 will be much easier to execute and much more difficult for EG to rinse and repeat what they were able to do in that last fight. So we still have to keep our eyes on Cowrie. He is the saving grace, is that big carry member. And fortunately for him, is he sumless? Yes. But did he also pick up a stopwatch in base? Also, yes. So he does have the potential to try and outplay what C9 is going to throw at him, but he has to be ever so careful in this next fight, given all the tools that C9 have to collapse upon this immobile Jinx.
Especially when Darshan now has a Guardian's Angel in his inventory. A lot easier for him to dive Cowrie and not necessarily have to worry about if he's going to die or not. But the big thing I want to bring back is that when you look at Darshan and how he's playing these fights, that last one, he wanted so bad to follow Malice over the wall, but that Emperor's Divide actually completely cut off that choke point. It made it so impossible for Cloud9 to follow it, and if Evil Genius can replicate that in some form, they can win again.
EG are really good at playing, like, retreating. They have all the tools in the world to help Cowrie peel back, but C9 also have all the tools in the world to attack. And we can see C9 as they're trying to regroup. Darshan does have that completed GA, is in the side lane, and still wins against Surdy. And C9 are now trying to push and pull. They know that Surdy doesn't have TP and Darshan does, so they're going to posture around this Baron really aggressively and see if they can get EG to overcommit into the river and not make the same mistake of fighting them in the choke this time. As now the TP comes in. This is the 5v4 they were looking for.
And Surdy's nowhere to be seen.
They found him.
Emperor's Divide. That is not going to do anything to stop this fight for Cloud9. So Ligo has to completely run for the hills, but he's chased down by Copy. Goes golden, but it's only wasting time. It's a killing spree for Copy, and he's TPing into the bot lane to end this game.
And what a setup from C9. I mean, that was textbook, right? Just bait EG into the river, utilize your TP advantage, form an angle, and attack. Cowrie didn't have sums up. That's all that C9 needed to make EG fall. They're going to take down Surdy. They're going to take down the base. And that was a beautiful setup from C9.
Darshan with the Beyblade right at the fountain. Asserting dominance over Evil Geniuses, because this has been a dominant performance. Even if it was a misstep there in the mid game, they always had the lead. They always had the advantage over Evil Geniuses.
And I think that C9, I mean, they are one of the best teams that we have in Academy at playing with side lane priority. And I think that, you know, at this level of play, that is something that's not easy to do. I mean, having your solos be self-sufficient and be able to, you know, have that knowledge of, hey, can I push this wave or not? That's something that is really difficult for a lot of players, especially rookies, to, you know, pick up and have a great sense for. And Darshan and Copy are so good at it, so good at opening up that space for Malice to keep on clearing, keep on getting power on these big carry junglers. And then when C9 gets the, you know, 15, 20, 25-minute mark, they just hit like a truck as a team. And we have not seen a lot of teams do a good enough job of dealing with that in Academy. And I don't see C9 changing up their game plan at all. So we're going to have to see if our teams get better at breaking what C9 wants to do as we move into the playoffs and proving grounds.
We got to take a look at this replay from that last
It's so
fight.
good.
It's just, Surdy doesn't have TP? What?
The minute the TP comes in from Darshan, this fight's over.
Yeah.
Like, that's how good the setup is from C9. And I mean, I was talking through it. It's like, all right, if they just bait EG into the river, they win, right? That's exactly what happened. And they had to do it because, once again, EG are losing the side wave because of how far fed Darshan is. They're losing the Baron because C9 are the ones pulling it. They're forced into that air, and C9 punish. It's really good textbook League of Legends coming out of them.
It was. It was a great read, and I don't know how better I can praise them. It was well done. Darshan being the one to really take the reins of that game and lead it to victory for Cloud9. Copy doing a great job. You look at bot. Iron King got caught out of position a couple times, but really, like everyone played well, especially in the team fights for Cloud9.
And we'll see if EG can bounce back in game 2, man. I think that it was a decent idea from EG. I liked how they played with the bot lane priority and the Volibear early, but they just weren't able to turn it into a big enough lead. So I think EG goes for the same strategy in game 2, just wondering what kind of changes they have and how much harder they want to push the pace early to try and take down C9.
But only one way to find out, Cubby, and that is getting into a break so we can get to our halftime show so we can get to game 2. Stick around. We'll be right back.